Mike and Mike at night.
Our news, our business.
Hey, if you hear at nighttime,
then you hear at the right time.
We all about that
LSP, baby.
That love, support, and that protect. Hey, man, today we talking about is it time to break up? And now, we're not just talking about with your boo. We're talking about with everything that you do. We're talking about business relationships. We're talking about friendships,
as well as romantic relationships.
Exactly. So we're gonna get into all of that. Is it time? And the different things that you can look for that might tell you that, hey, it's time for us to go.
Could be time.
Right. Just whatever you guys do me this one favor. Don't break up with the Mike and Mike at Night show, because we love you. We're all about the love, support, and protect.
Yes, sir.
That's what we do here. So there's no need to go anywhere else. So that's why we're playing the song Stay. We want you to stay right here with us. We're going to give y'all that stuff all the time. We might get into a little bit of that Derrick Jackson. I don't know how much of that we'll have time to get into, but we're going to get into that as well. Hey, we're going to let some of y'all get in here, and then we're going to be ready to go. I don't own the rights to Dr. Pepper. I just want to say that for Facebook. But feels like my liver does anyway. Hey, you guys don't forget to tag and share. But this is my thing. I don't necessarily need you guys to tag and share as much as I need you guys to tell other people. You know what I'm saying? With black people, we're doing something positive here. We're doing something for the community. We embrace all of your comments, all of your thoughts, all of your positions, because we're all about love, support, and protect. Absolutely. All about our brothers and sisters. That's what we do. How you doing, Thomas? Appreciate you for being here today. Thomas, drop me your mad so I can, that is another announcement I have to give. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm all over the place. And I think I did write that down. You guys, a lot of you guys are inboxing me your information as far as the LSP shirts go and the Mike and Mike products and all of that. Listen, we have order forms set up on our webpage, also on the Facebook page, on both of them, the business page and my personal page. So go in there and fill out an order form. It just makes it easier for me. Then I don't have to bug you and keep going back and forth with, do you want this size? How do you want this? How do you want that? It's all broken down. My beautiful daughter put that together. So, hey, appreciate you guys. But get in there and fill out your order form for that. Not saying that I ain't going to take care of you if you inbox me. I'm still going to get you your products. A lot of people have already received their shirts, their hoodies, and everything. I made it my business to get that stuff to you all. But just for those people who have not got in there and haven't got their stuff or haven't got their order form filled out, just go in there and fill that out. We're going to take care of you guys like we always do on the show. But anyway.
And there's a lot of you all that don't know us personally, so this will definitely be the best avenue for you to try to go ahead and get in and get your products done for you.
Exactly. And when I'm talking about sharing, you guys talk about it at work. You see what I'm saying? Talk about it at work. Tell your friends about it. We have very interesting topics that we do on this show. So just let them know. They can go to the page and browse a few of the shows. If there's a show that you're interested in, I guarantee you we probably have already covered it. We cover everything from, how to manage your life to how to manage your credit, how to manage your relationship, your kids, the food in the refrigerator. We break it on down on the Mike and Mike at Night show. We do all of that. So, like I said, I don't just want you all to share it as far as the Facebook goes and the YouTube goes, but share it in person. Tell people about the show. Tell people what we talk about. If they're interested in, which most people will be, hey, tell them to jump on the show. We love to talk to them.
Absolutely.
We have nothing but love for you all here. We don't get into and you guys already know this, we don't do no backbiting, no arguing, nothing like that. We just get in here, and this is black people in here having a good time with each other without fighting and arguing and doing the things that some people expect us to do. So
for sure.
For those who have been here, who have participated in the show, shared their views, comments, things of that nature. We appreciate you guys for all your love, support, and protect that you give the show. And like I said, go ahead and spread the word. But we're going to get into this. Is it time to break up? Some of the things that, we talk about on this show, I know it hinges around a lot of relationship style issues. The reason we do that because life is a relationship, and the relationships that we have with each other are the most important because they help to build our community and make our community what it is. It helps to forge a stronger people and bring us closer together. So that's why we talk about our relationships, because they are so important. So when you guys, hear some of the topics and you're like, man, y'all talking about relationships, well, relationships are important because a lot of us have not learned how to conduct ourselves when it comes to dealing with other people.
Absolutely. And not that we necessarily have all the answers, but we do have some well thought out things that we have gone through personally, as well as done a lot of research on these topics. So it's not like we're just talking out the side of our.
Right. So a lot of these things we don't know per se because we haven't just woke up having this information. A lot of this information we get because we research it. And we do that so that you don't have to do it. So you don't have to go up and look up all these statistics or whatever. We're sharing them with you, and we're telling you that maybe not the way that you would like things to be, but the way that it is. So for you guys that might think that we should be the last two people talking about some of this stuff, actually, we probably should be the first. Okay? So we appreciate you. Ms. Clark, thank you for joining us. Thomas, thank you for joining us. Dom, saw you in there. Appreciate you as well. But let's get into it. What would you say is one of the telltale signs of knowing that maybe with a partner in a relationship that you guys aren't going to be able to move forward?
I will say this. If within your relationship, if you're more miserable than you are happy, if this particular person makes you miserable and upset and you're mad all the time, now you're going to have that in every relationship. Now we know that every relationship is not perfect. No matter what you do, it's not going to be perfect. But if you spending more time being miserable and crying and things of that nature, then it might be a telltale sign that it's time to move on, because you should never, ever sacrifice your happiness. Not for anybody. Now, I know sometimes people get into situations where they might stay in a relationship for the kids, or they may stay in a relationship or for bills. And you got a lot of that going on out there too, a lot of bill buddies going on. Okay. And
so it's not a real relationship.
So it's not a real relationship. And so if those are the type of relationships that you're involved in, if it's just for convenience, even a physical convenience, then those are not great reasons to stay in a relationship, and it might be time to move on.
Now, I want to just say this and give you just a little bit of pushback on that.
Okay.
In that some would say that you find happiness within yourself, that you shouldn't be looking to someone else to make you happy.
And that's exactly why, if you're not being made happy by this opposite person, that it might be time to move on. Because of course the happiness starts with you, and we talk all the time on the Mike at Night show that it starts with us, that the love, the support, and the protect all starts with us and within the household, and then it spreads throughout the community.
Well, but I mean, if it starts, if that's the case, and you are happy within yourself, should it then not matter who you're with?
Well, you could be happy by yourself. You could be happy by yourself,
but why can't you be happy with them?
Because if you're compromising your happiness,
okay.
For the sake, like for bills or children or things of that nature, then that's not a real relationship.
So in essence, what we're kind of looking at, or what we're kind of saying, is that if the children or the financial situation is the basis for you all staying together, then that would tell us that it might be time to break up.
It may be time. Now we're not talking about, listen, it's not about how the relationship starts. It's about how the relationship evolves right? So
Okay.
it might have all started great and wonderful, but if it's evolving to a place to where you're not happy, you're in this person or this relationship that you're having is making you more uneasy than happy, then it might be time to move on, is all I'm saying. And absolutely, you could be happy by your doggone self. And I know a lot of people use that term and phrase, and it's absolutely true. And I know you have the term, you could do bad by yourself, right? So why do I need somebody else who's going to constantly bring me down when all I want to do is be happy?
Hey, thank you for joining us, Vanessa. Listen, I've always heard the phrase, and you guys have heard me say it on here. They say you can do bad by yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
the way I feel is you can do better by yourself. You don't
Okay.
have to be by yourself to do bad.
True that.
So if you feel like that bad with somebody and bad by yourself are the only two options that you have, then maybe it's not that person. Maybe it's you. You know,
Very
you
good point.
yeah, maybe it's you. So I think when I look at this, is it time to break up? Um, it, it, it we really don't want to in a lot of cases because they say that over 75% of us as individuals do not like change. That change really disturbs us. It's one of the greatest fears outside of public speaking, spiders and snakes. We don't want to change. So sometimes we have grown so used to someone or something that we are unwilling to let it go.
Sure.
And I see this happen a lot within families. You have toxic family members
Sure.
that you really probably shouldn't be spending a whole lot of time with, but because you have grown accustomed to their presence, you continue to put up with their nonsense, and you continue to put up with the levels of toxicity that they seem to contribute to your relationship.
Yeah, well, I totally understand that what you're saying, but much like a romantic relationship, when we're talking about uh, breaking up with friends and things of that nature, listen, toxic people, and some people may disagree. They're going to say, well, that's my uncle and I love him, or that's my auntie and I love her, or that's my first cousin. And like you said, we grew up together and we've done all these things together and we have a relationship and a bond. But if you constantly find yourself having to compromise your own happiness and your own situations for this person, then, and I'm not saying to break up with them necessarily egregiously or meanly, or that's just so that that person can experience time to their self to grow.
And I get that. The only reason I had some pushback on the happiness aspect is because I I think that happiness is something that you find within yourself and you don't necessarily look for in someone else.
Sure.
I don't. I think that your emotions are a outward expression of an inward condition. So your emotions basically are a physical expression of what's going on inside of your mind. So when it comes to being happy, even if I am dealing with someone who is hard to get along with, i.e., cantankerous, abrasive, rude, um, that's not going to compromise my personal happiness. Now, is it going to make me question whether or not I should spend time with you and how much time I should spend with you and the quality of time that I spend with you?
Sure.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to my happiness, I will never sacrifice that because I am confident and in who I am. So therefore, I'm going to be happy whether or not it is your life goal or lifelong
Right.
dream to make me uncomfortable or unhappy.
Well, like I was just saying, it's not about how the relationship starts, it's about how it evolves. So if it's evolving to a point to where, especially when we talk about dealing with toxic people, now you can still find happiness within yourself and within your heart because it's inherently in you. But at the end of the day, there are just certain things that I'm not going to put myself in positions, like you said, how much time, how much quality time do I spend with this person? If they continuously to not evolve emotionally, then there may be a problem there, and it may be time for me to move on from that relationship. Is all I'm saying.
Okay, and I mean I agree with that. And like we said when we were starting the show out, if some of you guys missed it, um, we were not just talking about personal relationships, but we're extending that through friendships, family
Family
members, as
members.
well as business
Hmm.
uh, relationships that we may have, maybe your job or whatever. And we're going to get to those, but we kind of wanted to start out on the romantic friendship and family tip because that's something that all of us have had to deal with at some point or other inside of our
Right.
lives. I just don't think that automatically. So, Vanessa says two whole people are needed um, to are necessary for a relationship, and that is true. I mean, you need two entities to have that relationship and that exchange between those two people, or two entities, or an entity and an individual. However, she also goes on to say that cut them off. If they ain't right, cut them off. Noble says it's like ingesting bad milk. It's going to cause a lot of you know what and make you sick. And that is true. There are people who are toxic that only have toxic things to contribute.
Right.
They're pot stirrers, they're mess starters, and they seem to feed off of negative energy.
Right. And even if you're like a stone and all this stuff just bounces up off of you, when we're talking about a romantic relationship or even a friendship or a family type of dynamic there, then if they're like I said, if they're not growing, if like
You
for
don't let
instance,
them. You don't let them go. You let them grow.
if you and I or a certain individual dealt with certain situations in a toxic manner 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
in 2 more years, I don't want to deal with the same situation in the same manner that I did 2 years ago because I'm expecting growth from myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if this other person is not evolving emotionally, then like I said, it may be time now. Now, can you give them time to grow? Could they actually grow? They could, but a lot of the times, and time is way short. And so I don't necessarily have time for you. If you're not evolving, then I don't have time to wait for you to grow up.
Well, and I say this, I've said this before on the show, and I'm gonna just say it one more time for those that may have missed it. I believe in the whole um, CAL, the change acceptance leave theory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you want someone to change, and they may change. But if they won't change, then you may have to just accept who they are. If you cannot accept who they are, then you should just leave them alone. And that's
Absolutely.
and that's what I look at. Change, acceptance, and leave. And then again, when you allow that person back into your life, when you have
Right.
recognized their change, then you accept their change and all that they've done before you leave in the past. So there are two different aspects to that you can apply that will help you with dealing with people and whether or not you should continue with them
Right.
or if you should let them go.
And a lot of the time, you just may be that toxic person that needs some breaking up with. And it doesn't mean that the person is mean or rude or that they don't love you. It's just that you need time to evolve and to grow. Now, you can find people like that. If you notice, toxic people tend to be together. I know toxic relationships that have lasted many, many, many years. But we're also talking about the police being called over there many, many, many times. And other types of forms of domestic abuse have occurred. Now, there's some people, believe it or not, misery does love company, and there's some people they're just not going to be happy unless they're involved in some type of drama. So, and those relationships can work. It's just like you're not going to have one dope fiend in a relationship and the other.
Sometimes you will.
Yeah, but that's only going to last for so long if the other person is not a dope fiend.
Right.
Now they might conform and say, you know what, I can't take this no more. Give me some dope too. And now you got two dope fiends that can get along. But if you just only got one and the other person refuses to change themselves and it becomes a problem or toxic to you, then it may be time for you to move on in that relationship.
And I get that. I mean, definitely when you have cantankerous. Well, I'm not going to say
Even one
cantankerous.
alcoholic. I mean,
You think so?
same type of thing. I think
Well,
that
I mean, as far as our community goes, do you
right.
believe so?
Everybody has a tolerance of what they will and will not accept.
Right.
Right. Well, let's say this guy's an alcoholic and he's abusive, but he only does that when he's drinking. Right. Well, let's say he started off just drinking socially and he evolved into some alcoholic at rage, and you don't agree with it and you didn't evolve like that. You actually used to drink too, but you decided, you know what, because I see the way this person acts off of it, I'm going to make sure that in my growth I'm not going to become that, because I'm not going to conform myself just so I can stay with this person. I don't care how much money they're making, I don't care if we have kids, I don't care what our personal relationship is. If you're not involved, if you're not evolving with me, then it's time to move on.
But can we
Now,
bring that back to our community? Because we do know that within our community, oftentimes alcohol is an issue and
yes,
can become a problem. And I know that we're speaking from a point of saying, well, if that person is like this, then just leave them. And it may in fact be time to leave, but is it that easy to just just cut and run from someone
of course it's
because
not easy, and that's why if you don't have a person who's intelligently uh,
or has that emotional maturity?
emotionally mature, right?
Mhm.
If they're not that, then it's time to move on, because you can't really change a tiger's stripes. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's completely impossible that that person can't change, but if if it's that, how much do I love you? If it's that important to you that I give this certain thing up because how it makes me behave, then do I love you enough to make these changes for myself so that you can not look at me as somebody who makes you miserable, or somebody who is toxic towards you, or somebody who makes you down? You know what I'm saying?
Now, do you we were talking and kind of was getting into the whole uh, aspect of family and friends. Do
Mhm.
you think that this also applies with your family members?
Absolutely.
So, okay, go ahead.
Because I mean, your loved one or your significant other is basically a family member, right?
Hmm.
You love this person unconditionally. You would do anything for them. You would even change certain things for them just for their own happiness. But I'm not going to compromise, and I don't think that anybody should. I'm not saying immediately throw this person to the side or kick them to the curb. Just maybe they need a little space to grow. And when they come back around, then appreciate if they've been able to make them changes, and if they have experienced emotional maturity and growth, then maybe we can have another conversation at that point.
But sometimes people do need that necessary space
Yes,
to kind of, and also it kind of, don't you agree, kind of allows those wounds to heal,
sure.
because time is a great healer of
Hmm.
wounds. Some of the infractions that they may have initially caused, you have grown to get over it, and now you're able to deal with this person on another level.
Yeah,
And because you have given them that space, now they're in a space to where they can respect
absolutely,
your position, and they
absolutely.
know that they're not going to they're no longer going to take your relationship with them for granted.
For
They know
sure.
that you will walk away from the relationship
Hmm.
when it becomes when it becomes detrimental to your own personal comfort or
Right,
success. And
right.
I have seen that. you know um, One thing that I wanted to get on, just real quick,
Mhm.
is when you have people that aren't toxic in the way of being either rude or belligerent, but there are people who unload on you a lot.
Right,
They
right.
life is never going good. Nothing's nothing.
um
The sun won't come out tomorrow. Let me just tell you, I lost my job, my grandma, and my dog all in the same week, and I just don't know what I'm going to do from this point.
well,
Well,
go ahead.
do you cut this person off? Because I mean, with the love, support, and protecting we're showing, do is this somebody that in this position that you would necessarily want to walk
Listen,
away from?
it's because it's because of the love, support, and protect that it may be necessary to cut certain people from our lives. And of course I'm not giving any names, but there's some of my personal relationships where I've had to cut people off. And it's not like I called them and cussed them out and said, "Hey, I ain't effing with you no more. Don't ever call me this and that." It was just kind of organic that I just sort of left you alone. I stopped inviting you to things because when you will come through, there'd always be drama and things of that nature. Well, because this person was not emotionally mature. But nowadays, now I don't speak to this person a whole lot, but when I do speak with them, to your point, there's a much greater respect. I don't get any of the same BS that I used to get. Maybe they're that same person, but they're not that same person with me. And so, therefore, I respect and acknowledge their growth.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
And so now, what you do is you create, by growing emotionally, by having that space away from me. Now we can get on a different level of our relationship, and it doesn't have to be so toxic all the time. And I think that when you do that to a person, they become to miss you, and then they stop and they look themselves in the mirror and try to figure out, well, damn, is there anything I could do? What could I have done different? And the person who's doing the cutting off, you also got to look yourself in the mirror also. This is not just a one-way street here that we're talking about. But like I said, I have noticed that the people that I've done that to, or like I said, it was more organic than me just cussing them out or whatever. Sometimes they went to jail. Sometimes they had to go to jail to get space. And when they come out, they're a little different. Not to say that they're not toxic.
So you're giving a lot of information up about the type of people that you hang out with.
Listen, everybody got dope fiends in their family. Everybody got somebody in jail in their family. Everybody got toxic people in their family, and their relationship. Some people's own kids is toxic. You know what I'm saying?
And that was one of the points that we were going to get to. Because that is a big one.
Okay.
What do you do with children that you find to be somewhat problematic within within you all's interaction? And I find this a lot. I find this a lot, at any age, because I find this a lot with men who don't live in the same home as their children.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship seems to be a little bit more abrasive, and in a lot of cases, the moms or whatever have told the children things about the father
that's resentment. It's resentment. That's why they act that way. That's the only reason. And to a point that we made in other past shows. Listen, if you're feeling some type of way about your child's other parent, your baby mama or your baby daddy, keep that to yourself, okay? Don't be spewing this stuff to the children, because they are 50% of this piece of trash that you keep calling the baby daddy. And at some point it's going to seep into their heads that perhaps they're a piece of trash also. So not only are you harming that child, but you're getting into that child's psyche and actually stopping the development that they could have when you do that sort of thing. Now, I know that stuff happens. I know that there are janky baby daddies. There's janky baby mamas, of course. But guess what? Your child will figure that out all on their own. They don't need you shoving that down their throat every chance you get because they missed Christmas or they missed a birthday or things of that nature.
Now, I will say this because I don't want to go too hard on them.
Okay.
A lot of people, especially black people, I give them props because a lot of people have learned this. Mm-hmm. A lot of our brothers and sisters have learned this through trial and error, that it is never good to talk bad about that other parent, because eventually that can, and like we talked about on the last show, that can turn into self-hate. It can turn into a place to where people, those children look at themselves. Sometimes, a lot of times, they look just like the person that you're talking about,
right?
And that might cause them to hurt even more.
Right.
So you do have to be careful with that. I know when people have done certain things to you, it's hard to look past it. I have been guilty of talking about, people that I shouldn't be talking about, around people that I shouldn't be talking about with. I've been guilty of that too. I'm not saying, and we say on the Mike and Mike show that we are perfect on all of these things, but I know that I have done it to a certain extent, and I have seen how it has kind of come back to serve me in bad ways. So, I try to stay away from it and be as positive as I can be. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to say that a lot of us as brothers and sisters have learned that talking bad about a baby mom or a baby dad isn't the best thing to do. Let me get to Thomas's comment here. He says sometimes it's about how much time and effort you invest, and you want a return on that investment. Sometimes you just get comfortable and it's hard to leave that comfort zone once you are in that routine. And that's kind of what we started out with talking about, is that once you grow accustomed to a certain way or a certain situation, it is hard to walk away because you have developed ways that may or may not be healthy ways, but you have developed ways to deal with that.
A tolerance.
You have, but I'm saying you have resorted to different ways to dealing with that. Sometimes that may be cussing that person out. Sometimes that might be threatening that person. Maybe you turn that on yourself, and maybe you're drinking too much now. Maybe you're smoking more than you usually did, and you're not finding any peace within yourself because you are disturbed by someone else's actions.
Right.
Whenever you are allowing that to affect your personal, your physical or mental health, back to the title of the show, that's when you know that it may be time to break up.
Right.
And we one of the last points we had wanted to throw in there was, even with a job or with a business partner, when it starts to challenge your physical and mental health, these are the times in which maybe, dealing with this job is probably not the best thing for you. Because I'm going to tell you something. You can continue on this job, but when you drop dead, they will definitely fill your position.
You will get replaced.
Right. But I look at it and I say, a lot of people sacrifice even their families for their jobs or their professions or whatever. And that is, that's somewhat, it's sad, because you see a lot of that happen too, especially inside of our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly when we're talking about a job or a business relationship, that could be also difficult. I mean, it's always difficult to remove yourself from somebody. Like you said, people resist change. That's just who we are as humans. We get into a certain comfort zone about things that we will tolerate. I didn't say won't. I said the things that we will tolerate. And when it comes down to somebody who's actually paying your salary, it might be very difficult to break off from them. But I would say this: if you're compromising your mental well-being, because know this, people. If you have mental problems or mental issues, it will develop into physical also. So it may just be in your head at the moment, but it can also start to affect other aspects of your health, your blood pressure, your heart, all type of things. So while difficult, if it's toxic and it's something that you feel like that you're having to compromise and you're not giving back or getting back what you're giving in, because I hear you with the investment, Thomas, it's all an investment. So if I'm putting all this investment, I'm giving this situation or this person all this time and I'm not seeing anything in return, then it might be time for me to just go ahead and buckle down. As much as it may hurt my feelings, I may have to even take a pay cut, but it might be worth that so I can have my sanity at the end of the day.
Well, let me just say this: it may in fact be worth it. But when we getting back to what the hey, Mine, when you gonna come join us, chill with us, Mine. Appreciate you. Love have you on the show. Sabrina, hey, what's going on? I hope you got your shirt, Sabrina, because I did send that out and tried to make sure that you got that. So hopefully our mutual friend got that to you. But anyway, check this out. It does, how could I put this? It does affect you, and it can affect you in a negative way to walk away from somebody. You feel that hurt, you feel that loss, and I think the reason a lot of times why we stay so long with people that we shouldn't be with is because we know that we at some point in time may miss that person. We might we miss that person. We might miss having that person around. And like I said, not only have we grown accustomed to the level of toxicity that they contribute, we also look forward to it. there are some people that actually enjoy arguing
Sure.
with their significant other. They
Absolutely.
turn it almost into a game. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They almost turn it into a game. And you're very welcome, Sabrina. You got to shoot us a picture with you in it. All right. We for all of those people out there who did get their shirts,
Tell them that.
we did want to see you guys in your shirts, see how they fit, make sure they fit right. Make sure you got the nice, the great quality of shirt and printing job that we put out there. When it comes to black folk, we know y'all don't want nothing looking cheap or raggedy, so we made sure that we kept quality job number one. But anyway, let's go on.
For sure.
I know that I have, and now I'm going to speak personally. I know that there have been people that I have regretted leaving alone, and I guess that's the flip side to is it time to break up? Have you ever left someone alone that you look back on it and say, you know what? That person wasn't so bad after all. Maybe I should have stuck around a little bit longer. And that's why we titled it, Is It Time to Break Up? Because sometimes it may not be time to break up.
Sure. Thus the question is
time. Is it time to break
right?
up? Right.
And you're right. And sometimes what I found is all it takes a lot of the time is just two intelligent people just to sit down. And now this is the hardest thing when you're dealing with any type of relationship is listening. People have such a hard time listening, but if you were to actually do that more than what you think you are, because I know people say I listen all the time, but you steadily cutting that person off and you're steadily not taking to heart what they're saying. You just only want to spew what's in your heart, right? You want them to hear you, but you don't want to hear them. Well, if we can come to something mutual together because we respect, love, and protect each other, then there's absolutely things that could be worked out, and they don't have to end that way. And to your point about leaving certain people and it being hard and you just got accustomed and things like that. Well, guess what? Maybe you can get accustomed to being alone. Maybe you can get accustomed to your new job. Maybe you can get accustomed to your new situation that wasn't as toxic and as bad as the one that you just left. Now, I'm saying give it a chance because you obviously spent enough time with this person that you should be respecting each other one enough to where you can sit up there and listen to that person and take and be kind and have empathy with that person and want to change and do the right thing. Same thing with an employer. Hey, sir, or HR or whoever you need to talk to. Hey, these are my feelings. I'm not trying to get fired or anything like that, but this is the situation. I feel like this, I feel like that. And if they can respect that, then give them another chance. But if they can't, then maybe it's time to move on. But I do agree with you. Go ahead.
Get to Maya's comment here. She says, soon going to Vegas. As soon as I get back, love y'all. She gonna come on here and join us. She brings a lot of energy. I love her energy and her conversation.
Love you too.
They always are quite enlightening and interesting, to say the least. She says, for sure, feeling today's topic, I'm going through this currently. Agree about missing someone. It's sad to have to question, do I love this person or am I used to them? That companionship, even if it's toxic, and that's the thing. You have to ask yourself that question sometime. Do I love this person or am I just used to this person? I've been in that situation before. Sabrina, I feel what you say. She said, look, I don't regret leaving nobody. And let me get to her next comment. She said, but I'm also a person that exhausts all healthy possibilities before leaving. So when I'm done, I'm out. And I get that. And I'm glad that you put that in there because that's the caveat that gives credence to the previous statement. She says, I never regretted leaving because she knew that there were some things about this person that, she couldn't move forward with.
And still gave it a chance. So that way, Sabrina, you don't end up feeling like you done something bad or wrong at the end of the day by leaving that person because you tried all that you can. And this person refuses to grow emotionally. So I totally dig what you're saying. It makes perfect sense to me.
When we talk about breaking up, especially breaking up with family members, we don't always talk about or refer to it as breaking up when it comes to family members. We use more terms in our community, more like cutting somebody off. Like, well, I cut them off because of this
blocked them on Facebook.
Exactly.
Don't accept their calls.
Right.
And sometimes that's necessary, believe it or not. That's not always a bad thing.
Well, I want to say this real quick. So when it comes to family members, I get it because we are inculcated with the idea, even as we are children, that we are to have each other's backs.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is that we're never shown or told what that looks like as children and growing up. Like having someone's back doesn't mean that you let someone disrespect you or disregard who you are as a person or individual. LaChristy, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate having you here on the Mike and Mike at Night show. That doesn't mean that you allow people to be your personal footstool or run over you just because you are family members. And I know there are a lot of family members that try to use that to their own personal advantage to manipulate you in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't adhere or change the way you are with them, then they want to leave you alone. And to Maya's comment when she's talking about being in a relationship, there are even relationships that operate that way. If you don't let me A, B, C, D to you, then I don't want to have anything to do with you. And at that time, it is time to break up.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I say I question the breakup or leaving someone alone, sometimes leaving people alone, you might be all they have, and leaving them alone may destroy them. And the same thing goes with family members. Sometimes there is some work that you might want to put into the relationship, and I think Sabrina was speaking to that you want to put into the relationship
I
before
agree.
calling it quits.
But also, like Sabrina said, if I've exhausted everything to try to make the relationship work, and I'm not getting any response, like I forget your boy, he said something Thomas said about investing,
mm-hmm.
and not getting anything in return. That's frustrating for anybody. That's just
mm-hmm.
like if you constantly play the stock market, you've been playing the market 10 years and you ain't got one thing to pop all the time, you're going to get frustrated and say, you know what, maybe this ain't for me, maybe I should move on.
Yeah, I got some wrong investments.
Exactly.
Right.
I've made the wrong investments.
Or maybe I need some, and I'm glad that you used the Wall Street aspect, because maybe I need someone to help me on how I am investing.
Sure.
Because it's not always about that return right then and there. So it could be a long-term investment that you're looking down the line. And with people, it's the same way. Sometimes you can see that people are going through things that you might need to just be patient with and allow them to get through. So then you guys can forge a deeper or stronger relationship.
I get that, but at what cost are you willing to do that? Because it can take a toll on your own emotional well-being.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry to cut you off on that.
You're good.
What I'm saying is that when it doesn't affect you physically or emotionally, like Sabrina was just bringing up, she said when it's emotional or mental injury, these are the hardest injuries to get over. So when people are damaging to you like that, I believe that definitely that it will be time to leave that person alone. There are people, and this seems to occur more in family relationships than it does in husband and wife or girlfriend boyfriend relationships. Though it does happen there a lot, people try to draw back on things that you might have done when you were younger because they know you that well,
right,
that they can go back to a lesser you and lend from that lesser you for how they treat you currently. So I treat you like this because back when I was 13, you know what I'm saying? You did X, Y, Z. And if that person is no longer that individual, I don't think it's fair that we pull from who they were in the past.
Right.
And I think a lot of times that and I see this a lot in our community, there's a lot of emotional bullying that goes on within our families, where they think that we owe them our allegiance or subservience just because they may be an older relative or whatnot.
You don't owe anything to anybody but yourself, okay? First and foremost, let's take care of us. The only way that we can be there for somebody who may be going through these issues and deserves some patience is if we got to have that in us ourselves first, right? So for me to say that I'm going to continue to put up with this and in the name of patience, I'm just not going to do that. And like you were saying, something that happened when I was 13, Maybe it was egregious enough that that person should be cut off alive, because you never
Mm-hmm.
know what a lot of people have done. And just because
Mm-hmm.
time doesn't heal all wounds.
Right.
Time does not heal all wounds. So you know, I know people that have been sexually abused, for instance. They're not going to go back and forgive them people, even though it was 20 years ago. They
Mm-hmm.
still harbor ill feelings toward them, and it's a good thing for their own emotional well-being to have space from that person. And I totally get that. And it doesn't have to be sexual assault. Now, obviously, we don't live in our past. Wherever I lived back then, I don't stay in that house no more.
Well, I know a
So
brother.
don't judge me, you know, based on that.
I
Go ahead.
know a brother who said he gave another brother some money for a sack of weed, and he never
Really?
came back with his money. And this brother's been holding on to this for I think better than 20 years that this occurred.
Really? That's crazy.
but, but if they happen to see this show,
No,
man,
you
get that
did.
brother his money, man, for that sack. You know, I just want to lighten it up on y'all a little bit. But but honest to God, that is a true story. Somebody was just telling me about that the other day, and I was thrown back over that story.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
20 years,
20 years ago. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for joining us today. Listen, I know, and you guys know, and this is the number one way to know when it's time to break up, because you can feel that inside of your heart, in your mind, and you have made that decision to break up with that person over and over and over again, leading up to that point. So yes, you will know when it's time to break up, but this is the thing. You need to be patient with yourself and the other person before you make that decision to end that relationship, because that person is going to be losing a lot and you may be losing a lot as well. So it's never wrong to be patient with people and be tolerant, but it is detrimental to cut people off for absolutely no reason or for personal reasons that aren't necessarily detrimental.
And sometimes when you cut people off, you're specifically showing love, support, and protecting them. Some people need that. So, and coming from you, it might not mean the same coming from somebody else in another one of their relationships, but when it comes down to you, it just may carry some weight. So keep that in mind too. It's not to hurt them if you do have to release somebody out of your life because they're toxic. You can also be doing that as well as showing love, as well as loving, showing support, and protecting them.
Now, I'm going to say this real quick. She says, what are the signs that tell you that it's definitely time? And we did talk about this. We said that the signs that tell you that it's definitely time to end the relationship is, first of all, you know it yourself. And I'll say this real quick. I'm going to throw something in here for free. I know you guys don't pay for this show, so but I'm gonna throw something in here for free real quick. And I said if we could get to the Mr. Jackson situation, we would touch on it just a little bit. So I'm going to answer your question twofold, Sabrina. The signs that tell you that it's definitely time to leave someone alone is if they're causing you severe physical or emotional stress. The other sign that it is time for you to walk away from somebody is the relationship doesn't benefit either one of you. The interaction between between the two of you, man, I'm stuttering.
No compatibility.
Exactly. Between the two of you, there is no compatibility, and you guys don't enrich each other in any way, shape, or form. Now, that's hard to find, where you can have two people that were in a relationship and they don't enrich each other in any way. That's one reason. If there have been some things that you find it extremely hard, if not impossible, to forgive that person has done, then it's time to end the relationship, and maybe sooner rather than later. You know, a lot of these jobs, you know, when you get fired, they're not firing you totally just because of what you've done in the past. They're firing you to keep you from messing stuff up in the future, because they see that that's why they have paper trail. They see that you're going in a certain direction that they don't want to see you go down and they don't want to be a part of, so they let it go. In the same way it goes in a relationship. When you start seeing someone set a certain pattern and going in a direction, if you know that relationship is over, let me tell you guys, You save a whole lot of hurt by ending that relationship earlier than ending it later. And when it has already dissolved, don't end it later.
Save a lot of time too.
And you save yourself a whole lot of time, and you can find somebody that you actually are more compatible with. Now, I did want to say this, ladies out there. I know you guys listen. I know y'all gonna give me some pushback for this whole Darnell Jackson. I didn't even know who this joker was to begin with, but I'm gonna just say this. I heard that he was some 30-year-old giving advice on marriage and relationships.
Relationship guru.
And he was some type of relationship guru. I should, because we do this type of show, I should know who he is, but I've never listened to him, and I don't really know what he's talking about. I have listened to Kevin Samuels, AMS, and those guys, but I don't know who this guy is like that. But I got the gist of what happened. I guess he was giving a whole lot of advice that he wasn't taking himself, and he got out there and started messing around. Listen, and messing with other women. Let me say this real quick. You guys, please don't throw stones at me, but I'm gonna say this real quick. When you try to set yourself up to be somebody more than who you actually are, and only you know you, then you have set yourself up for imminent failure. From what I understand from this gentleman, and I'm doing him a disservice because, like I said, I haven't listened to a whole lot of or any of his material. But from what I understand, he was really hard on black men or really hard on men, and he had touted this higher level of experience with women and how you should treat the woman and this and that. And meanwhile, he got caught up messing with a whole bunch of other women, for lack of a better use of words. But listen, these guys like this, I'm gonna go ahead and throw Kevin Samuels in the mix, the Jacksons, your Steve Harveys. You guys be careful what you listen to when it comes from them. Because if people can't come to you and be humble and be honest with you about their own shortcomings and mistakes, be careful about receiving any type of advice from them because they're not being realistic with you. And a lot of times they have a motive behind it. Right. And I think the motive is in these cases, and the three people that I mentioned, is the bottom line. They're trying to make money off of the things that they're telling you. They're not coming at you in love. They're not trying to build you up. Mm-hmm. Kevin Samuels, a lot of times he's tearing down the black woman. I've listened to Steve Harvey, and he's putting all of these requirements on what a man should be. Right. And then we've gotten 1,000 stories about him cheating on his wife, and the daughter he's raising. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not even gonna get off.
She for the streets.
I don't, bro. She's a black woman. We can't say she's for the streets, bro.
Okay, you're right. I'll say this. Immature. She's emotionally unintelligent, and she has a lot of bodies on her belt.
Okay. And yeah, he was touting real men don't cheat. This is the thing, man. We have to be really careful with that, you guys. Don't take advice from these people that give advice to make money, okay? Because that's what they're basically doing. They're saying this stuff because they're trying to make money. They're not trying to uplift the community. They're not trying to encourage black women. They're not trying to encourage black men. Now, some people have said that we're guilty of that, but I'm going to tell you this right now. We are not. We talk about some of the problems within our community, but we don't make it seem as though we haven't been guilty of some of the same exact things that we question black people for doing on this show. I know that I've cheated before. I've done a whole lot of things, and I don't need to run down the list, and I'm not going to run down the list. But I will say this. When I talk to you all and we have this show, I'm talking to myself as well. I'm not just saying this is information for y'all because I've already made it. And some of these gentlemen, when they speak, that's how they speak. Like, I've already reached the mountaintop, so now I need to talk to you young peasants and pull you up to my level. And then all you see is that they have to go back and eat their words.
Every last one of them, huh?
Well, for the most part, either they have
the ones that you mentioned.
Well, I say for the most part because some of them are so prideful that they don't apologize and they don't come back and say they're sorry and be honest with the things that they have done. they continue to shroud it in secrecy and deny some of the things that they have done. And most men, when they get caught cheating, the first thing they're gonna do is lie and deny it.
Right.
But having a relationship is a lot like having a business. If you're dealing with people that got a few issues and you think they ain't gonna cheat, then you know what? You setting yourself up for failure. That's like opening a business and not expecting anybody to steal. If you open a business, somebody gonna steal. Somebody's gonna steal from you, and you have to put that into the cost of doing business.
And the quicker you can weed them out,
it's going to be impossible. They might be there.
Listen, hey, that's toxic if you're stealing from me. So, like you say, hey, if I can weed those sort of things out early before I get too in debt emotionally, then it's time to break up that
in a relationship. But what I'm saying is, when you're running a business, as long as you're running the business, they're going to steal from you.
Same thing. Hey, to me, these are parallel conversations when we're talking about business partner, romantic relationships, and friendships and family members. To me, it all runs side by side. If you're feeling some way about one of these, it can usually apply to those other aspects of your life as well.
Thomas Noah says crow tastes best fried with the hint of Lawry's. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to eat crow, my brother. I actually don't have a problem with being critical. However, I think it's a red flag if the only way a person can uplift the community is by disparaging one another. And a lot of these guys do bring a lot of disparaging comments to our brothers and sisters, and that's something that I do not condone. I think that the world, especially the country that we live in, has done a fair share of making us feel less than who we are as a people.
Sure.
And we shouldn't contribute to that any more than is necessary. When we talk about our brothers and sisters, we're talking about them because we want to help them, not because we're trying to hurt them, not because we're trying to make them feel bad about who they are. That's why a lot of times when I listen to people like Kevin Samuels, I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says, just because I feel like he tries to humiliate and tear down black women, and that should not be a motive for. That's not entertainment to me. That's foolishness. Right. That's straight up foolishness.
Right.
Trying to tear down the black man or the black woman, to me, if you're black and if you're black, period, it's foolishness.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, and like you were saying, we do have issues within our community that pertain to this sort of thing that do need addressing. So if they're, like you're saying, we would never purposely drag down another black person, be it male or female, but these conversations are necessary to have, because a lot of the time when we talk about these things on the Mike and Nice show, a lot of the time what we're needing to do is look ourselves in the mirror. Are we that guy that's Derrick Jackson and preaching this nonsense, and then it all blows up in your face, eating that crow with that side of Hennessy or whatever he said, or Lawry's. So it's absolutely necessary. But sometimes we do need to stop and take a look at ourselves. Sometimes we may be that toxic person. Sometimes we may be that person who needs to be separated so that we can have time alone to heal.
Like I said, you don't let them go, you let them grow. But hey, I appreciate you guys for coming in. I think our hour is almost up.
Yeah.
Hey, we got in here and we got through a good one. You guys, listen, again, I'm gonna say, if I'm not just talking about sharing the video right here, when you guys are at work, when you guys are talking to your friends, and you guys can even suggest some topics for us to get on. We'll research them, we'll go over them, and we'll throw them back at you. Listen, we love having you guys here, and we love sitting here and having these discussions. And some of you guys don't even know, but you guys are having discussions across the country, and even in other countries, you guys are having discussions with people and don't even know it. And I like that we can come together and make this like a family atmosphere. Absolutely. Where we don't have to be afraid to be open with each other and be honest with each other. Now, I ain't saying put your personal business on here, but what I'm talking about is as far as us as black people and how to build our community up, and the different ideals that we can put out there for each other to glean from and to learn from and to grow from, because that's what it's all about. right up under that love, support
and protect.
and protect.
And even if you don't catch the show, you happen not to catch it live, you can always go back. We probably got about 100 shows now, and we still go back and read the comments. So don't think that just because you didn't catch us live that, or maybe we didn't address you live
Great
on the
point.
air. Just because we don't address you live on
Great
air
point.
doesn't mean that we're not going back and looking at these comments. It's very important to us for you all to be engaged with us so that we can know what it is that concerns you, the concerns that you have about our community, so that we can address them intelligently in a form that's not tearing down other Black people, and it's well thought out and well researched.
You know, and you guys will be surprised how many times I go back to older shows where people see older shows and comment on, and I'll get in there and I'll respond to them. Sometimes it takes me a while, but I'm gonna tell you, you know, all of your comments for the most part we try to get while we're on the show.
Mhm.
But a lot of times when the conversation continues, I'll get in there and continue to reply to you guys. So we do thank you again for being on the Mike and Mike at Night show. If you
Yes,
hear
sir.
at nighttime,
Then you hear at the right time.
we all about that love,
Support.
and protect. Hey, check this out. When you guys, if you guys have anything you need to forgive somebody for, or anything you need to apologize for, please do that now because life is short. Hey, we love you guys. We support you guys and we protect you guys. Until we see you guys again on the Mike and Mike at Night show, you guys have a wonderful night and enjoy your weekend.
Peace.
Turn down the lights, turn down the bed, turn down these voices inside my head. Lay down with me, tell me no lies, just hold me close. I'm praying tonight. I'm praying tonight. Cause I can't make you love me. No.